Hello children. Today we are going to read the first lesson of your supplementary reader book. Now the name of the lesson is The Tiny Teacher. Now you know the tiny means very small, and of course you know who is a teacher. Means he is teaching something. Now what is being taught? Let's find out. About whom we are talking about. Though so very small, the ant is unbelievably intelligent and hardworking. Among the various kinds, the commonest ant is black or red. Ants live in comfortable homes called ant hills. Means what in these lines? We are going to read about the smallest creature, and that is the ant. And unbelievably, you will not believe it, but it is a very intelligent and hard-working creature. Now, among the various kinds of creatures, the most commonest ant is the black or the red colored ant. Now, the ants, where do they live? They have a very comfortable homes, and those homes are called as ant hills. Okay, now let's start with the lesson. Okay, now here is it. Name the smallest insects you have seen, and the wisest, is it the fly? Now, you tell me, the lesson is asking us about the smallest insect you have seen. Do you remember? And also the wisest. Now, maybe in your mind it may come a fly. Fly means makhi, जैसे हम कहते हैं. Okay. Now, no, it is not. Is it a mosquito? No, not the mosquito. Then it must be the worm. Worm means कीड़ा जो रेंगते हुए जाता है. Worm. No, none of these. Now, it is the ant. That means the ant is the commonest, the smallest, but the wisest insect. Wisest means very intelligent. Now these words you see, the commonest, the smallest, the wisest. Now what form of verb, part of speech they are? They are the superlative form of adjectives. And what is an adjective? Adjective is a describing a noun or a pronoun. So the ant is a noun. Now, how are they describing the ant? They are the commonest, the smallest, but the wisest insect. The story of an ant's life sounds almost untrue. Now, if we start studying about the ants, we'll think that it is not true. How can a small insect like an ant be the most intelligent and wisest animal? It is not true. But people have kept ants as pets and have watched their daily behavior closely. Now, many people, what they have done, they have kept these insects as their pets and they have watched them daily behavior very closely. So, we know a number of facts about this tiny, hardworking and intelligent creature. Now, what is the meaning of creature? It is living being. जिंदा जो भी है उन सभी में से this ant is the most intelligent and the wisest creature of this world. Okay? Okay. Now, an ant uses its feelers or antenna to talk to other ants by passing messages through them. यानी इनके ants के ऊपर, if you see, you will find two antennas, two like this, one like this and one like this. Now these two antennas, that is, they are the feelers. The feelers or the antennas, they use these to talk to each other. Now how do they talk? They pass the messages also through them. Now how do they talk? Let's find out a little bit. Watch a row of ants moving up और डाउन द वॉल. आपने देखा होगा आपके घरों में एंड्स क्या करते हैं, कभी ऊपर चढ़ते हैं, कभी नीचे आते हैं, लेकिन वो लाइन से जा भी रहे हैं और एक दूसरे को टच करते हैं फिर निकल जाते हैं. यू मस्ट हैव सीन एंड्स इन योर हाउस. सो what happens? Each ant, what do? They greet. That means they meet each other coming from the opposite direction by touching their feelers. एक ant एक डायरेक्शन में आती है तो दूसरी ant दूसरी डायरेक्शन में आती है, and they both touch each other with their feelers. Feelers means antennas, and then they pass the message to each other. Okay, now if you find here, see, I'll show you in the picture. See the ant. One ant is coming from here and the other ant is coming from there, and they're touching each other with their feelers. Can you see? Yeah. There are many kinds of ants. The commonest among them are the black or the red ones. You'll find many colors and many types of ants, but the most commonest form of ants are of black color or red colored ones. We have seen them since we were children but haven't paid enough attention to them. हम तो ये ants, we have been seeing them when we were quite small. That means when you were a child, you have been seeing these ants, but have you paid attention towards it? Did you understand, try to understand what the ants are, how they are living, and where they live, how they work, about them? No. So where do they live? First question, it comes to our mind. We have seen the line of ants, but if you follow that line, you will find where they live. In their comfortable homes called nests or the ant hills. Now they have got a very comfortable homes. They are called as nests or the ant hills. Each has hundreds of little rooms and passages. In some of these rooms, the queen ant lays eggs. Others are nurseries for the young ones called grubs. Understand? Now these ants, they are very small, but they are very well planned. You know, they each each anthill has got hundreds of rooms, and they've got hundreds of passages also. And in some of these rooms, you will find the queen who is laying eggs. Now in other rooms, what do you find? You'll find nurseries where the young ones called the grubs, they live. Now there are workers. Workers have their own places also. Now let's find out what do they have. Now workers have their reserved quarters. में जो काम करते हैं ना ants, उनके भी अलग घर होते हैं, उनके अलग rooms होते हैं, उनके अलग quarters होते हैं. They spend most of their time searching for food. Now the worker ants का काम क्या है? They always spend time in searching for food. Some rooms serve as storehouses for this food. Now उनका घर क्या होता है? They act as a storehouses, storeroom, जहाँ पर whatever the food has been collected, they keep in these rooms. These rooms act as storehouses for their food. Soldiers have separate barracks. Barracks means houses for the soldiers. They are called as barracks. No worker has ever tried to live in a soldier's house. Now remember one thing, that is, there is not a single worker who has tried to live in a soldier's house. Means कोई भी वर्कर जो रहता है, कोई भी वर्कर कभी भी सोल्जर के घर में रहने की कोशिश नहीं करता. And no soldier has ever gone out searching for food. और सोल्जर्स उनका कभी भी खाना ढूंढने के लिए कभी नहीं जाता है. That is also one important part of that. That means what? That is, no worker or soldier or cleaner has ever harmed a grub. Now remember one more thing, there is a worker, there is a soldier, there is a person who cleans called as cleaners. They have never harmed a grub. कभी उन्होंने अपनी बेबीज को भी कभी तंग नहीं किया. बेबी हाउसेस, नर्सरीज को कभी उन्होंने तंग नहीं किया, ना ही उन्होंने हार्म करने की कोशिश की. So you see, an ant's life is very peaceful. Why? Because there is no chance of fighting among themselves. So they lead a very peaceful life. Now each does its share of work intelligently and bravely and never fights with other members of the group. That means the worker will not interfere with the work of the soldier. Now soldier will not interfere with the work of the worker, nor it interferes with the cleaner. Neither the cleaner will interfere with the soldiers. So everybody has got their own share of work, and they work very intelligently and very bravely, and they never fight with each others of the group. Okay, now the next part is of your the lesson is like this. The queen ant. Now see here, the queen ant has a pair of wings. Now this is the description how a queen ant looks or a worker ant looks. What is the work of the queen ant? Let's find out. So here is a small summary of the further lesson. The queen ant has a pair of wings which she casts off before she begins to lay the eggs. Now what is the meaning of cast off? Discarded, get rid of. वो अपने wings को निकाल देती है once it begins to lay eggs. Now eggs hatch and become grubs. Means small babies बन जाती हैं, and grubs change into cocoons, and cocoons break to bring forth complete ants. अब ये cocoons again they break up, and out of that what comes out? A complete full formed ants. Now bring forth. What is the meaning of bring forth? To produce, give birth to the small ones. Okay. The life of an ordinary ant in the ant hill is a book which many of us seldom open. Means the life of an ordinary ant. एक ant की जो जिंदगी होती है उसकी देखने में तो it's a very ordinary ant. But if you open that ant hill, then you will find it is just like a very big, grand book, which many of us have rarely opened. Seldom means rarely they have opened. Have you seen an ant hill? Have you dug inside the ant hill and found out anything about it? I don't think so, because I haven't. Okay, now here goes. Let's find out about the queen. The queen is the mother of the entire population of the colony. Now the whole population, ants की जितनी भी population है, who is the mother of these ants? It is the queen ant. It lives for about 15 years. How many years does it live? It lives for about 15 years. It has a pair of wings. Now what does it have? The queen ant has a pair of wings, but bites them off after its wedding flight. Means the queen has got a pair of wings. But what does the queen ant do? It bites them off. It removes them. And when does it remove? After its wedding flight. उड़ जाती है तब वो. This flight takes place on a hot summer day. Now, when does it take place? It takes place during the hot summer day. The queen leaves the nest and goes out to meet a male ant. Now, what does the queen ant do? It leaves its nest and it goes out to meet a male ant or a drone. So a male ant is called as a drone. Now what does it do? It flies high up in the air. Okay? On its return to earth. Now after some time it returns back to the earth. It gets rid of its wings and then does nothing but lay those eggs. Now this ant, when it returns back to the earth, वो अपने कहा था ना, bites them off wings को. So it gets rid of its wings and then does nothing but lay the eggs. एक ही काम करती है, and that is it lays the eggs. Now get rid of means remove something that you don't want any longer. Now eggs hatch and grubs come out. Now the queen ant has laid the eggs. Now what happens? The eggs hatch out and grubs come out. Now grubs means the baby ants which you see in the nurseries. So soldiers, what do they do after the hatching, after the grubs come out? The soldiers guard them, protects them. Workers feed and clean them. And what is the work of the workers? It feeds the babies and cleans them and also carry them about. और यहाँ से वहाँ लेके जाती है. कहाँ लेके जाती है? रोज लेके जाती है. But where does it carry them about? Daily for airing, so that it takes them out, so that the babies, ants, that is the grubs, get proper good air, exercises and sunshine, so that the baby grubs, they get all these things: air, exercise and sunshine. 2 or 3 weeks. Now if you see down, and here can you see the ants, they are taking the cocoons and they are taking the babies here and there. Okay, now what is happening? Let's find out now. Later what happens? Grubs become cocoons. Can you see? Grubs, I've shown you at the top. Have you seen the grubs? Now these grubs, they become cocoons and lie without food or activity for 3 weeks more. Now after they become cocoon, वो simply they lie down, सो जाते हैं without having any food or without doing any activity for how many weeks? 3 weeks. Okay. Then the cocoons break and perfect ants appear. Now after the cocoons, after 3 weeks, what happens? The cocoons break and a perfect ant appear. Out of that, what appears? A perfect ants. Okay. Now it is time for teaching and training. Now the ants have become full. The ants have grown. Now it is the time for the ants to learn something, get some training. So it is the time for teaching and training. New ants learn their duties from old ants. Now the babies, what do they learn from? From whom do they learn? From old ants as workers, soldiers, builders, cleaners, etc. That means the ants all have a separate work for each type of ant. After a few weeks training, the the small ants are ready to go out into the big world of work. Now, after a few weeks only, they have got a good training. Now, after they have got good training as a worker, soldier, builders, cleaners, etc., the small ants, what do? They are now ready to go out into the big world of work. Now they are ready for them to work. Now see in this picture, you see the cocoon? Now out of this cocoon, the baby ant is coming out. Okay? An ant is a home, an ant hill is a home not only for ants but also for some other creatures. Now see, this is something very different. And now ant hill, that is a home of an ant. Now it is not only the home of the ants but also for some other creatures. And what are the creatures? They are the beetles, lesser breeds of ants, and the green fly. These are the creatures which live in the anthill. Now, why do ants want these alien creatures to live in their nest? Now, ants also, they allow these creatures like beetles, lesser breeds of ants, and also the green fly to live in their ant hills, in their nest. Why? There are many reasons. Now, some of the reasons are for several reasons. Some give off smell pleasant to the ants' senses. Now, why do they give? Because these other insects, these other creatures, they produce very pleasant smell. Now, this pleasant smell is liked by these ants. So, they allow the ants to have these creatures, alien creatures in their ant hills. Now the ants have got the sense, they want the smell of other insects which has got a very pleasant smells, and others give sweet juices. Now there are some other creatures which give these ants sweet juices, and some are just pets or playthings like cats and dogs to human beings. Now human beings, what do they keep at home? They keep either dogs or the cats at home as their pets. And these ants, they keep other alien creatures in their houses as their playthings, as their pets. The green fly is the ant's cow. Now see, very surprising. There is a creature called the green fly, I told you before, is the ant's cow. Ants के लिए वो क्या है? Cow है. Why? Because the ants train it to give honeydew. The ants train it to give honeydew like milk. That is the reason why these green flies act as ants' cow. With a touch of their antenna, with the help of their antenna, they give them honeydew, which is like milk for the ants. They milk it just as we milk the cow. Okay? Have humans learned as much as ants have? आपने कुछ सीखा ants से? No, perhaps, maybe. They have, but they haven't put their learning to good use. हमने सीखा तो है, maybe, perhaps, but हमने उनको ज़्यादा use नहीं किया. They haven't put their learning to good use. We haven't used them though we are looking at the ants, we haven't learned as much as they do. They may still learn a few things from this tiny creature. We human beings may still learn. We have still got few other things to learn from this tiny teacher. Now, what are those things? They work very hard work. Their sense of duty. Sense of duty means they have got their own specialized duty and they don't interfere with others, and they work very hard and with discipline. इन किसी के काम में ना टांग अड़ाते हैं, but they work in a very regular and disciplined manner. Cleanliness. These ants are very clean insects, very clean creatures. They care for the young ones. It need not be their own young ones. It takes care of all the young ones of that community. And above all, a firm loyalty to the land where they live. Means if they are living in a particular ant hill, that is their land, isn't it? They are very loyal to them. Very loyal. How do they show their loyalty? Because they work hard for those people who live in that clan, who live in that ant hill. They have got a strong sense of duty for that place where they are living. They are very disciplined, they are very clean, and they take care of the young ones very properly and very carefully. Above all, they have got a firm sense of loyalty to the land where they live. Loyalty means they are very faithful to their land where they live. Belief, and the faithful means they believe in that, और अपने ant hill पे they work. Vishwas, in Hindi what you say? Vishwas. They are very faithful, they are very loyal to the land where they live. So children, we should also learn to be very loyal to our country. We should work hard for our country. We should have a sense of duty to our country. We should be disciplined in every work we are doing, and whatever we are doing, we should do it in a very clean manner, and we should respect and take care of the younger ones who live in our country.